Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Murtaye Namaha. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Tvak Pranaschakshushrotramakho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam me astu Tadatmani Nirate Upanishatstu Dharma Te Mai Santu Te Mai Santu. Om Shanti Shanti. Passage 48. Tadyatraitata Suktaha Samastaha Samprasannaha Swapnam na vijanati Esha Atmeti hovacha Etadamritam Abhayam Etad Brahmeti Saha Shantarudaya Pravagraja Saha Aprapyaiva Deva Etad Bhayam Dadarsha Na Khalu Ayam Evam Samprati Atmanam Janati Ayam Hamasmiti No eva imani bhutani vinasham eva apito bhavati nahamatra bhogyam pashyami. So in this case now, Prajapati said that the supta, the one in deep sleep called prajna, is Atma. First said the waker, the Vishva is Atma. Second time, the dreamer, the Tejasa is Atma. Third time, the sleeper, the Prajna is Atma. What was meant in each case is the one who manifests as a waker, who manifests as a dreamer, who manifests as a sleeper. Because if one now is a waker, then he is a dreamer, then he is a sleeper. It's quite evident that this waker, dreamer, sleeper cannot be the inherent nature of that one, because what is changing cannot be inherent nature. What is changeless is the inherent nature. So sun, brightness is inherent nature of the sun. Sometimes the sun may appear yellow, sometimes dull, sometimes different color, depending upon the clouds or depending upon the weather. All those things cannot be the nature of sun because they are changing. So what does not change is the essential nature. In ourselves also, what does not change is the essential nature. That right now I'm happy, unhappy. Sometimes karta, the performer of action, bhokta, the experiencer, sukhi, dukhi, happy, unhappy. Thus in I also there is an aspect that constantly changes. In all of this, which is what I take myself to be. Whatever appears, karta, bhokta, I take myself to be that. But that is like an actor who is assuming variety of roles. Therefore his costumes keep on changing, and therefore his sort of identification on stage also keeps on changing. Now a king, then a beggar, then a minister. In all of them, what is the unchanging aspect, the abiding aspect is the essential nature. So here also within myself there is something that is constantly changing. Now I am a speaker, then I become a listener, then a walker, then a talker, then an eater. So thus there is something in me also that keeps on changing. And that changing cannot be the essential nature. So that I am a walker, talker, eater are my functional names. I gain those designations depending upon what functions I am performing. Right now I am a speaker because of the function of speaking that I am performing. You are listeners because of the function of listening that you are performing. Or they are functional names. Names derived from the function that we are performing at a given time. To take that one as myself is lack of thinking. Just habitual error. Whatever appears, that is what I am. You will think that when I was speaker, how can I be the listener, then how can I be talker, how can I be constantly changing? If this crystal, which by nature, colorless and transparent, the crystal now appears red in color, appears green in color, appears orange in color. Does it? I hope it does. At least that's what I'm saying. Then what is the nature of this crystal? What is the color? Is it green? Is it yellow? It is red? You wonder, that which keeps on changing its color has to be free from the change. So Atma is like crystal. And just as crystal appears to change colors, does not change, but appears to change colors depending upon the substance, such as a cloth which is placed beside it. So Atma itself also appears to change its designations, its names, like speaker, thinker, hearer. But we never think. Crystal appears yellow, it is yellow. Next moment it appears green, it is green. Next moment it appears orange, it is orange. How can what was yellow become green and what was green become orange? We never think. So how this one was a speaker, all of a sudden he has become a listener, he has become now an eater. Therefore, whatever is the abiding aspect, that is the essential nature of anything. This is what essentially what Prajapati wants to communicate to Indra. Look, now he is a waker, then he became a dreamer, then he became a deep sleeper. And in each one, of course, Indra had a problem, thankfully. In the beginning, he accepted whatever he thought he understood. The chaya, the reflection is Atma, and went away with satisfaction, and fortunately he thought about it. But Virochana never further thought, and he stayed with his conclusion that body is Atma. So Indra said, how can this reflection be Atma? And then so came back. Next time we went away with the understanding that dreamer is Atma. And then again said, how can dreamer be Atma? Sometimes he is crying, sometimes he is attacked, sometimes he even dies. Next time he told the deep sleeper is Atma. And he comes back, but deep sleeper seems to vanish. In the deep sleep, this one does not even know I am such and such. Vinasham eva pito bhavati. Looks like the sleeper comes to the end, disappears. So, how can Atma be the one that disappears because you said he is Amrutam, immortal, he is Abhayam, fearless? Nahamatra bhogyam pashyami, I see no good in this. Therefore, then again came back to Prajapati. Prajapati assured him, Edam tvete bhuhe anuvyakhyasami. Hey Indra, I will explain to you the same thing again. That's the commitment that Prajapati has. He also does not get frustrated with his disciple. The disciple also does not get disappointed. He keeps coming back again and again. And the teacher also does not get frustrated with his disciple. What sort of entity you are? Every time, and he's very sensitive, observes the disciple. No, he needs 32 years of penance. 32 years of penance. Now he says, Vasa aparani panchavarshani iti. Now Indra knows that the deep sleeper is Atma, is pretty close to knowing the Atma, therefore only a slight impurity remains in you, therefore you perform penance for 5 years. It's a very short time compared to 32 years. For us, 5 years would be a long time. Vasa aparani panchavarshani iti. So now all you need to do is stay for 5 years. Live life of brahmacharya. So aparani panchavarshani vasa. Very obedient disciple. And therefore, he also lived there for 5 years and as brahmachari. And that's why we said it all adds up to 101 years. And so it became well known that Indra in fact lived with Prajapati for as long as 101 years, which is when he got his Brahma Vidya. Evam kila etat indritvadavi gurutaram. We saw yesterday that shows that this knowledge is greater even than state of being Indratva. Self-knowledge is greater than even Indratva, the state of being Indra, because that also he gave up for the self-knowledge. Indrana api mahayatnena, even Indra also with great effort for 101 years gained this knowledge. Natah param purushata antarmasti. The Shruti wants to show us that there is no greater end than Atmajnanam. And now Prajapati says to Indra in the passage 49, Magvan Martyam va idam shariram Attam Rityuna Tadasya Amritasya Ashairasya Atmanaha Adhishthanam Atto vai Sashariraha Priya Priyabhyam Navai Sasharirasya Sataha Priya Priyayoho Apahatirasti Ashariram va vasantam Na priya priye sprishataha. Since Bhagavan or Indra said, with reference to the sleeper, Vinasam eva apito bhavati, says, O Venerable Sir, the Atma, the Self, appears to attain the state of being lost. Atma seems to lose itself, seems to die. Therefore the death is now. So who dies now? There is something that dies because of which Indra thinks that Atma dies. Therefore, with reference to or in connection to what Indra said, Vinashameva apito bhavati, that, O Venerable Sir, the Atma appears to suffer the destruction. Says Bhagavan, Martyam va idam shariram. Yes, something dies. Meaning that something, there is something which dies or is not existent, not there in deep sleep state. You right? What is it? Idam shariram. This body is martyam. Martyam is mortal. So, mrityu yogyam, that which is mortal is called martyam. So, Indra, you are right. Something vinasham apito about it, something does attain the state of vinasha or destruction. But what is that? Shariram. Yan manyase akshadharadi lakshana samprasatma maya ukta vinasham apito bhavati. But then what was the reason why Indra thought that Atma, which first Prajapati taught as the one that is in the eye, that Atma, he seems to attain death or meet death. Why did he think so? Idam shariram tanmartyam. Hey Indra, there is something that is subject to death or destruction, and there is idam. Idam means this. So that which is the subject of objectification. The word idam is a pronoun that means this. This body or body that is subject to being called this, meaning the body that is subject to objectification. When you say this, it is the object of your knowledge, object of your awareness. So something that can be objectified. So pot can be objectified, this can be, even the body also can be objectified, which we do not think so. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidhiyate etadyo veditam prahu kshetrajnahita tadvidah. Here Arjuna, idam shariram, this body, kshetram, it is called kshetram, it is the object of your knowledge, it is drishyam. Why did Lord Krishna say to Arjuna that this body is drishyam, is an object, is an atma? Lord Krishna did not need to say this pot is an atma. How come they don't? This table is an atma. This pot is anatma, the walls are anatma, the clock is not self. You never find this kind of statements in Upanishad, do you? Why? It never says the table is non-self. Oh Swami, table is not you, thank you. The microphone is not you. Because I never think that the table I am. If something happens and then I start thinking, then I have to go to some other place. Like this man thought that he was a cat. For whatever reason, he thought I was a cat. So was taken to a therapist. And therapist, explained to him with all reason, brought a big mirror and said, do you see who is in here? Yes, I am in there. Who is this? Yes, that is I am. What is cat? That is cat. Are you a cat? I am not the cat. So the therapist was able to convince him. He went back, convinced, I am not cat. After 2 days, the family members called the therapist, said that this fellow still doesn't go out of the home. Says, why? Whereas here he was quite convinced that I am not the cat. Now what's the problem? He said, I know I am not the cat, but I don't know if the dogs know that I am not the cat. But that would be unusual for somebody to think that I am a cat, because cat is clearly the object of knowledge. But Vedanta says, just as a pot is I am ghataha, so also this body is idam shariram. So for a Vedantin, the body and the pot fall in the same category. Not that this is, just a part. It's a very precious thing to me. But in the same category that this is also the object of my perception. And the body, object of awareness, body also is object of awareness. That is where the problem is. Until then there is no problem. If you have no problem with tables and chairs and pots and pans, and generally you would say, I am a pot or a pan. But when it comes to this body, somehow our feelings change. I am the body. Why? It's my body, special body. I am the body. But this body is as much as an object of your knowledge as a table or a cloth or pot is. Somehow the distinction gets lost when it comes to this body. So therefore Lord Krishna starts the 13th chapter saying, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate. Hey kaunteya, this shariram, body also is kshetram. Kshetram is drishyam, object of awareness. You are aware of the body. Therefore, you are not the body. It would be so simple. So, if you could so simply say that, I am aware of the body, so I am not the body. I am aware of the pot, so I am not the pot. I am aware of the table, I am not the table. I am aware of the body, I am not the body. Good? This fellow kept on saying that and telling others, and then all of them went to the Ganga for taking a dip. And Swamiji told them that you should not stay there for more than 3 dips and come out, because otherwise the body may get rigid, stiff. This fellow would not come out. And therefore then they came and complained to Swamiji, this fellow doesn't come out of the family. Swamiji went danda. What? Hey, why are you hitting me? I'm not hitting you, I'm hitting your body. So that identification is so habitual. You come back again and again to that. But anyway, that is why idam magvan martyam va idam shariram. Idam means that which is called idam, this which is an object of your awareness, this shariram. And Sharima Bhashyakara says that Sharira does not only mean gross body, but whatever can be objectified. So this body can be objectified. My eyes, organs of perception also can be objectified because I know them as my eyes, my ears. The prana also can be objectified, meaning I'm aware of the prana. Even the mind can be objectified because I am aware of my thoughts and feelings and emotions, everything. So when the word Shariram is used by Prajapati, Prajapati also includes the sense organs, the mind, the intellect, the whole Karya Karana Sanghata. This is called Karya Karana Sanghata. Sanghata means an assemblage of Karya and Karana. The gross body is called Karya and the subtle body is called Karanam. So this is the Sanghata, assemblage of gross and subtle body. Martyam va idam shariram. Hey Bhagavan, what dies in deep sleep state? Is this Sanghata, the assemblage of gross and subtle body? That is not there in the deep sleep state. Because it all merges into its cause called Ajnanam. And therefore you don't experience it. That does not mean it is destroyed. It has become unmanifest, it is not destroyed. That's the reason why when you wake up next morning you have the same body, you can see you are stuck with the same body. Sometimes people wish that when I wake up in the morning all these memories should go away, but they all come back. Bhagavan martyam vaidam shariram yat pashyasi tadedad martyam vinashi. And further Prajapati said, Attam mrityuna. Attam means sort of held by, in the grasp of mrityuna. So Vashyakara says, why does Prajapati say? If Prajapati simply said that the body is mortal, that means that it will die someday, we'll take care of it. Nothing to worry about. This, we had a saint in India, his name was Pandurang Athavale. He inspired millions and millions of people. And so, a young couple came to him, just got married, and they came for his blessing. Just good blessing. Here is the Gita, read. Well, Dada, we don't, we'll read it when we get old. We don't have to worry. After 1 year, the same young man came back with his wife and says, Dada, he was called Dada. I just took life insurance. Says, why? Well, if something happens to me, I thought that you were going to live long. When I asked you to study Gita, you said, I will take it. So, Attam Mrityuna. Here, Prajapati says that not only it is mortal, but then it is under the grasp or jaws of death. At any moment it can die. So, Bhashyakara says, why is this Vishesha added? It is mortal, but not it is mortal means people would think that it will die someday. He says, no, it is under the jaws of death, meaning that it can die any moment. Grastameva sada vyaptameva mrityuna iti. That it is always surrounded by death. Under the grasp of death, ityukte vairagyartham vishesha is not only mortal, but it can die any time. It is for vairagya. And therefore, as Lord Krishna would say that use your time. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosham, darshanam. Constantly reflect upon this fact. This existence is characterized by janma, birth, mrityu, death, jara, old age, vyadi, disease, dukkha, all kinds of pain, physical and mental. Lord Krishna says, keep that in mind. Now, why would anybody want you to keep in mind this kind of thing? So that you realize that you better use your time well. That otherwise, this is what life is. And be aware of that and use your time. As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, elsewhere also, Asukham, Anityam. This Sharira is Anityam Asukham. And therefore, Bhajasvamam. Arjuna, you please worship me. Don't think that the body will be there forever. And even when it is there, Asukham, there is all kinds of pain. Therefore, worship me. Just to make us aware of that not that we should be afraid of death, not we should think of death, or that we should realize that we have a limited time. Swami, astrologist, told me that I'm going to live for 88 years. So then what? So when I become 80, then I'll think of Bhagavad Gita. When you become 80, will you have the energy to think of Bhagavad Gita? They think Bhagavad Gita is meant for old people who have nothing else to do. But Vedanta requires a certain stamina of the mind also, not only body, but stamina of mind as well, isn't it? When we become old, the mind also becomes slow, and then what did you say? Therefore, mind must be also, not only body should be healthy, the mind also should be healthy. Attam Mrityuna. And so the death is always in the jaws of body, is in the jaws of death. Katham nama dehaimanto viraktasan nivartate iti. Prajapati says, Attam Mrityuna, that is always under the jaws of death. So how that this aspirant will become free from attachment to the body, from dependence upon the body, from taking for granted this body, taking for granted this life for the time that is given, and recognize that it can slip away from you at any time. That's how to properly use that time. Tadasya amrutasya asharirasya atmanah adhishtanam. The most amazing thing is this, that Prajapati says this body is mortal. Adhishtanam, it is a seat of amrutasya asharirasya atmanah. It is a seat means it is the seat for manifestation of Atma, the self, asharirasya, unembodied, amrutas, immortal. This mortal body enjoys one special privilege, or it has one special great advantage. What is it? It is the seat of manifestation of unembodied, immortal, bodiless, immortal Atma. Body is mortal, there for a short time, but for whatever time it is the seat of manifestation of the Atma, the self, that is unembodied and that is immortal. So what does it mean? It means that, hey Bhagavan, may you constantly carry out the Atmanatma Viveka. That yes, a body, including sense organs, mind, that is their nature. That they are mortal, they are created, and therefore what is created will someday perish. That's the way it is, and that's the way it should be. We don't need to change the laws of nature. Somebody asked me, Swamiji, what will happen to Vedanta if the scientists discover a way of keeping this body alive forever? He was concerned what happened to Vedanta. Says nothing about Vedanta, says body is limited. Anyway, even if it is immortal, it cannot become limitless. I said nobody can make this, what is born has to die. At the most they can stretch the life by a few years, they cannot make it immortal. Anyway, and so it is, but doesn't matter how insignificant the body is. What is significant aspect about that is, it is the expression or manifestation of the self which is immortal, unembodied, limitless. What is meant by unembodied is that it is not limited by body, not surrounded by body, not limited by body. It is not limited by mortality, not limited by name and form. It is limitless. That is what is important. And therefore, Prajapati says, shift your attention. Attention is normally on the body because we are taken for granted that body I am. But Hindra recognize that this body which is mortal and limited is nevertheless the seat of manifestation of the unembodied, immortal consciousness, Atma. So just drawing our attention. Not that we are not aware, we are aware. But because we have taken for granted that the body I am, therefore the body alone assumes a great predominance in my thinking. And even though the consciousness is always shining, because I cannot be aware of body unless consciousness is, and therefore in every kind of awareness, consciousness, awareness is. But that is not taken note of. And what I am aware of seems to gain the predominance in my mind. Vedanta wants to say that is not what you are aware of that is important. It is that because of which you are aware is important. Yen manasa namanute yen ahur manomatam tadev brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadam upasate. In the ChandogyaUpanishad, the teacher says, Yen manasara manute yena ahuru manu, that which cannot be thought of by the mind, that because of which the mind thinks. That which cannot become the object thinking of the mind, but that because of which the mind thinks. That which cannot be seen by the eyes, but that because of which the eyes see. That which cannot be heard by the ears, but that because of which the ears hear. Meaning that the Upanishad wants to shift our attention. Usually our attention is what we hear and what we see and what we touch and what we taste. That always occupies our attention. No, not what you touch, not what you see, not what you... That because of which you see, hear, that is important. Oh, I see because of eyes, I hear because of ears, I touch because of skin. But is that so? Eyes again is a manifestation. Eyes are the locus of manifestation of consciousness. Ears are locus of manifestation of consciousness. That because of which you hear, that because of which you touch, that because of which you see is consciousness. So thus, shift the attention. We are all the time preoccupied with what we experience. We keep on reacting to what we experience, what we are told. Naturally, that is how the life is. The day-to-day life involves interaction with the world, what we experience. And that occupies our mind and everything completely. But that because of which we experience escapes our attention. What we experience is not important. No, Swamiji is my brother-in-law, my this, that and so on. This is what he said. And that because of which you know your brother-in-law. Brother-in-law, I know, but Swami always used to use brother-in-law and mother-in-law. Must be coming from the British old thing, Because those days, I guess, mothers-in-law used to live with the daughter. Mother used to live with daughter. In those countries, not in India. In the Western countries, the mother would always go to daughter, never go to son, never with daughter-in-law. If she ever chose to go somewhere, it would be to her daughter. Therefore, the son-in-law is always stuck with mother-in-law. And mother-in-law is always mother-in-law, looks like. As they used to portray, anyway. But that is not important. Mother-in-law is not important, your brother-in-law is not important, what you know is not important. That is because of which you know. Although it does require a certain disposition of mind. That's why they talk of Antakarana Shuddhi. Ashuddhi means what I experience always occupies my mind. What I experience always creates some reaction in me. Of likes or dislikes, therefore usually what I experience always occupies my mind. Therefore they talk of Antakarana Shuddhi, that not what I experience, but that because of which experience should now, gain my attention. That is called Antakarana Shuddhi. What you experience is okay. Person with Shuddha Antakarana will say that what is okay. No, Swami insulting you is okay. He is abusing you, okay. Only when we can say that, it's all right, it's good in its place, that's what he thinks. But it's abuse, but that is their standpoint. When I am able to create that distance, that this is this person's viewpoint, I need not make it my viewpoint. When do we get hurt when somebody says something? When we make it ours. Say, you are stupid, somebody says to me. Then I start saying, I am stupid. So that is when the problem comes. You are stupid, thank you. That's your opinion. Then that will not affect me, which is what it is really. When somebody says you are so and so, it is their opinion. But then we always sympathetically make it our opinion right away. So I think he is responsible for abusing me, but in fact I sympathize with him and I repeat to myself, I am stupid, and then I feel unhappy. If I did not, nothing will happen to me. If somebody says you are stupid, I say, it's his opinion or her opinion, whatever. I need not make it my opinion, then there is no problem. So that is Antakarana Shuddhi. That enables us to create that distance, which is there. Somebody does something. Why should it affect me? It affects me because I identify with that, I just take it upon myself. I wear some kind of a hat. I don't have to. So Antakarana Shuddhi means being able to keep that distance which is there. Therefore, a person enjoying Shuddha Antakarana will not be disturbed by these things. So that is only when we can enjoy a certain peace of mind or leisure of mind. Leisure is not only in terms of time, we may have a lot of time, but then still the mind may not be available to us because it's this morning this fellow said, during breakfast he said this, during lunch that fellow said this, they were walking there this. With Shuddha Antakarana, I am able to create, that's what they say. Leave it there. So, how do I know, Swamiji, my mind is getting purified? When I am able to create this distance, which is there. Because that is when we can enjoy leisure of mind. Otherwise, the whole world, always weighs upon my mind. So, Martyam Vaidam Shariram. Hey Indra, this Sharira is mortal, this Karikana Sanghata is mortal, Attamrutyana, always under the jaws of death. But the great thing about this Shariram is that it is the Adhishthanam, it is the seat of manifestation of Asharirasya, Amrutasya, Atmana Adhishthanam. Asya, again, even the Atma also is self-evident. So not idam shariram, not only this body is object of a knowledge, though it can be called idam, asya atma, of this atma, the atma is even more proximately experienced by me. Not only experience the body, but then I more proximally experience the atma, is it not so? If you pay attention, tadasya asharirasya atmana adhishthanam. This insignificant, mortal, little body, which is often, poor thing is sometimes censured in scripture, in Vivek Chudamani and many places it is censured, it is full of filth and it is this and so that you won't identify with it. Why should you blame this fellow? So that you do not identify the body is condemned as full of all this filthy stuff. You tell this fellow, hey, you don't identify, why do you have to condemn this body? They condemn the sense pleasures, they're pleasures like this and they're like poison. The poison kills you when you consume the poison, where the Vishayas, they kill you even by seeing them, it is thing, That's how the sense objects of pleasure are condemned. The body is condemned. Women are condemned. Various things are condemned. I don't think that is appropriate. Why should you condemn something? Or because the sense objects attract you and trap you. Why do they attract you? Why do you get attracted? Somebody cannot attract me unless I get attracted also, is it not so? So is it totally the fault of that entity or is it fault of mine? If I keep on condemning that, this will stay with me, understand? The thing is, I think there is something wrong there, then I think I am all right. That the thing attracts you and traps you is not because of that, it is something with you. And unless you eliminate that, if it's not that, something else will attract you. You follow? So don't be satisfied by condemning something that now I am free from the attraction of that, because there is nothing there, it is something here which needs to be eliminated. No, wrong attention. Condemning sense objects, condemning women, condemning body, condemning this, condemning that. Again, I beg to differ from this approach. Don't need to condemn anything. If you want to condemn, you condemn ignorance. No, that's not nobody has created. If you want to condemn ignorance and aviveka, the non-discrimination, the identification, that you can condemn. What's the use of condemning something that you are not created? You are not responsible. God has created, you can't say God has created also. Who has created this world? No, God has created. Who has created? Ignorance has created. Cause of creation is, because God is always there. It's only when ignorance is that the creation is there, is it not so? Ignorance has created. So who will you blame? Ignorance, all blame. So this business of blaming and getting some kind of vicarious satisfaction that, I am all right because there is some problem there. Somehow gives me a sort of a false satisfaction, and I remain deprived of addressing where the problem is. Anyway, so same thing, this martyam, so mrutyana attam, his body is always on the jaws of death. It can die, meaning that it is not worth identifying with. It's not worth calling Atma. Because Prajapati already declared, Etat amrutam abhayam etat brahma. That Atma is amrutam, immortal, abhayam, fearless, is Brahma. And this sharim is martyam. It is not the fault of body that it is mortal. Not the fault of sense organs, they are mortal, they are made. So, if something is made that way, how can you condemn that? Oh, this is poison, but that's the nature. Snake is poisonous. stay away from it. Don't hate it. What can snake do? It has been made poisonous. But don't touch this vegetable, what is it called? When you touch it, you stay away. Anyway, I cannot go on with that, but the thing is that where we should pay attention, by assuming the problem belongs there, we do not address where the problem is. That's the whole purpose of all this, saying this. What is adhishthanam? Says bhoga adhishthanam. This body is adhishthanam, the locus of the bhoga, the experiences of Atma. How can Atma get experiences? The Atma or Bhagavan, as he is transcendental endeavor, cannot become the object of our interaction, cannot become object of experience. Therefore, to become the object of experience, it has entered this body. The reason how it is the adhishthanam, the locus of the experience, is because he has entered as a self. Upanishad says, Tat Shuštva Tadevanupravishat. Upanishad says that Ishvara, having created this body, entered this body. Therefore, the one who operates now as a speaker and hearer, who is that? Praneva prana bhavati vadanvak pasyan chakshuhu shvran. So when he breathes, he is called breather. When he sees, he is called seer. When he hears, he is called hearer. Or he thinks he is hearer. Entering this body means identifying with the body. So that is how the body becomes the seat of expression of Ishvara. Because Ishvara created the body and entered the body. Therefore, the one who obtains now as a speaker, as a hearer, as a karta, bhokta, he is none other than Ishvara himself. Attvai sasharira priya priyabhyam. Another passage further says, one thing is said that the martyam vaidam shariram, this body is mortal. Mrityuna attam, it is always under the jaws of death. Sasharira, who is sasharira? Now the one who is identified with the body, his story is being told. The story of Jivatma is being told. Now that is you call it problem or you call it situation. The fact that this body is there, automatically there is identification of the body. By default. Spontaneously. Says Bhashyakara in Kathopanishad, nobody has told you, him, this fellow, that you are son of so and so, or daughter of so and so, or brother of so and so. Nobody has told him, but he takes it to be so. 100 times we tell him you are Brahman, you are Atma, he doesn't accept it. That does not seem to create impression. Like this Mahatma is giving discourses on Vedanta. In Chaturmasa, during the months of monsoon, the Mahatmas in India travel. I mean, they not travel, but normally they travel, but then they camp in a given place, it may be village. That's how all parts of India got the benefit of listening to these Mahatmas. That is during the Chaturmasa. Formerly it's 4 months, now it is reduced to 2 months. Chaturmasa, 2 months are called Chaturmasa. But Mahatmas, and so that is why you find that even the villagers also seem to know about Vedanta. So this Mahatma was giving talks about Vedanta. Vedanta is all about you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are, that's all Vedanta teaches. And there are people in the front row and then very eagerly listening and enjoying, and among them also this person was always sitting in the front row. So then, after about a month of these discourses, then this Mahatma found this person sitting in front row rather sad. So but for 2-3 days, then Mahatma called him. Yes, I see you always enjoying the classes, and how come I find that you are sad since last 2-3 days? Says, Maharaj, 3 days ago in the evening talk, when I was leaving, after the lecture was over, then I was leaving, and I was in the impression of your class. And so I was not very attentive. And I put on my chappals. I started walking. And somebody came from behind and caught my neck. Hey, are you blind? Are you a thief? I was just shocked. You know what chappal you are wearing? I realized that by mistake I had put on some newer chappals. Same tile was there. This happened to be new and mine was old. That was the only thing. For such a simple thing, Swamiji, he called me blind. He called me a thief. How can he do that? I cannot sleep for 2 days now. Who is it to call me blind? Who is it to call me thief? That's why I'm sad. Mahatma says every morning and evening, I'm telling you, you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. That is not touched you at all. And when this fellow said that you are blind, you are a thief, that is simple. So what touches us is what is dear to our heart, because that resonates. When he says you are blind, that resonates. When he says you are Brahman, it doesn't resonate with me. So that is how the identification, etc., is so habitual, not spontaneous, habitual. Sashariraha says therefore, Attvai sashariraha priya priyabhyam. Sashariraha sharirena sahavartate iti sashariraha. Means one who is with the body, who is identified with the body. And who is not that? That means that it includes essentially all ignorant people. Attvai sasharira priya priyabhyam. Sasharira, the one identified the body, the Jivatma, is Atma, always under the grasp of, under the jaws of Priya and Priya, the dear and not the dear and not dear, the desirable, undesirable. So what's the big deal? So this fundamental truth about the life is being told, that the human being is always surrounded by, always under the influence of Priya and Apriya, dear, what is hateful, what is dear, what is pleasant, what is unpleasant, Raga and Dvesha. So this is the origin of Raga Dveshas that is being told here. And we will continue our discussion. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Yapurnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrahashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो